Hi everyone, in this video we're gonna create this nice tree animation. Starts with a nice layered preloader animation. As you see, there is a progress bar while there's another looping animation, and we're gonna finish it with some nice gradient animation. So let's get started. So we're gonna start with creating our tree, and I'm gonna select the polygon tool first and create a triangle which has dimensions of 125 by 125 and with corner radius of 8 pixels, and change its color to tree dark from the color styles. Since our tree consists of 3 triangles and make its width and height 170, I'm gonna copy this triangle as well, unlock its aspect ratio and make its width 240 pixels. And I'm gonna create a rectangle to make sure that my tree's height is equal to something I determined before. I'm gonna make its height 278 pixels and make it transparent. And I'm gonna align top and bottom triangles to this rectangle. So I'm gonna select the bottom triangle and the rectangle and align them to each other at the bottom, and I'm gonna make sure they are horizontally aligned, and I'm gonna vertically distribute them. And lastly, I'll make sure that the top triangle is at the top and the middle one is at the middle, also in the layer order. And I'm gonna group them and name the group tree. I'm gonna group it once more, and I'm gonna turn it into a component which is going to be named. I'm gonna create a new variant for my component animated tree, and in this new variant I'm going to change the bottom triangle's color to tree light. I'm gonna create another variant, and in this variant I'm going to change the middle triangle's color to tree light. And for our animated tree animation's last frame, I'm going to create another variant, and I'm going to change the top triangle's color. And I can start prototyping, right? So I'm gonna drag a connection from first variant to second with a trigger after delay, and duration is going to be 300 milliseconds, and the rest can stay the same. So I'm gonna do the same from the second variant to the third and change an only delay. The rest can stay the same. And to close the loop from last variant to the first one with the very same settings. Then I can drag an instance of my component to the frame, test it right. As you see, our animated tree is working. So the next step is creating our progress tree animation, right? I'm gonna copy a static tree from the animated tree component. So this is just a static tree group. And from the path operations, I'm gonna union the selection, and I'm going to actually let me rename the union as tree. I'm gonna clone the tree group and create a rectangle that's big enough to cover my tree. Let's make it transparent. Since we're gonna mask this rectangle with tree, and since it's going to be our progress bar, I'm gonna change its color to tree light from the styles. And selecting the rectangle and one of the tree groups, I'm gonna mask my rectangle with the tree, and I'm gonna select all of the elements I have here, including the cloned tree, and turn them into a component and name the component progress tree. And I'm gonna create a new variant. And in the default variant, since I want my progress rectangle to grow inside of the tree, I'm going to select the rectangle that I masked. I'm gonna move it all the way down. Now I'm gonna go to prototype mode. I'm gonna drag a connection from the first variant to the second with the settings after delay 1ms. And I want my animation to last 5 seconds. So I'm gonna make the duration 5000 milliseconds. Then I'm gonna drag an instance to my frame to test the progress animation. As you see, it works perfectly. It is time to test our animated tree and progress tree animations on top of each other, since our tree animation, which works as a preloader, is a combination of those two. Let's test that out. So I'm gonna drag an instance of animated tree component to the frame. I'm gonna center it to the frame, and I'm gonna drag an instance of progress tree component on top of it, and I'm gonna align them. I need my progress tree animation to be at 50% opacity. Now we can test it. Yeah, it works perfectly. Next, I'm gonna duplicate this frame, and in this new frame, I'm going to select the static tree in the progress tree component, and after copying it, I'm gonna delete everything else in this frame and paste it. And in this frame, I'm gonna select the static tree under the progress tree component, and I'm gonna duplicate it and delete everything else in this frame. And after changing its color to tree light, I'm gonna make its opacity 50%. Next, I'm gonna go to the prototype mode and drag in a connection from the first frame to the second. I'm gonna define an after delay trigger, and duration is going to be 5 seconds, which is equal to our layered animation in the first frame, and transition is going to be instant. And I'm gonna test it. Next, I'm gonna clone the frame with the static tree, and I'm gonna lock the aspect ratio of the tree, and I'm gonna make it bigger to cover the whole frame to create a zoom in effect. Next, I'm gonna go to the prototype mode and drag a connection from second frame to the third one with settings after delay 1ms, smart animate, ease out 300 milliseconds, and let's test it. As you see, our zoom in animation works. Next, we're gonna create the static version of our tree with gradient. So I'm gonna clone the second frame, select the tree, and make its color style tree gradient and opacity 100%. And I'm gonna flip it horizontally to create a nice effect while zooming out from the zoomed in version from the third frame. In the last frame I created, I'm gonna create a text that says Happy New Year, and first I'm gonna change its color to text from the color styles and its text style to crypt text. I'm gonna center it to the frame horizontally, and after placing it next to the tree, I'm gonna leave 7 pixels of vertical space between the tree and the text. And I'm gonna group the text with the tree and both horizontally and vertically center it to the frame. Then I'm gonna ungroup them. Next, in order to create also the text animation while creating a smart animate transition between the previous frame and this one, I'm gonna copy the text to the previous frame with the big tree and change its style from the text styles to big script text, center it to the frame, and make its opacity 0. Next, I'm gonna go to the prototype mode and drag in a connection from the big tree frame to the last one I have right now, and creating an interaction with trigger of after delay 1 milliseconds and smart animate ease out and 300 milliseconds. Then selecting the big tree frame, I'm gonna test the animation. As you see, it works perfectly. Next step is creating our tree gradient component, right? Which has the gradient animation. So I'm gonna drag a copy of the static tree that I have here and to create the gradient tree component. And I'm gonna make the static trees color style tree dark. And I'm gonna make a rectangle just big enough to cover it. It needs to have the same height with the tree, like we did in the progress tree. And I'm gonna make its color style tree gradient. After changing the rectangle's color style, I'm gonna clone it. And so I'm gonna move it up after masking with the tree. I'm gonna group two rectangles. And I'm gonna clone my static tree to use one copy for masking these rectangles. And I'm going to select the whole thing and turn them into a component and name it gradient tree. I'm gonna create a new variant of my new component, and in the new variant I'm going to select the group of rectangles and move them up to create the gradient animation. Then I'm gonna go to prototype mode, drag a connection from the first variant to second, which is going to be 1 milliseconds of after delay, and transition is going to be smart animate, and ease-in is going to be linear, and duration is going to be 4 seconds. And to close the loop again, I'm gonna drag another connection from the second variant to the first one, and it's gonna be an instant one. Then I'm gonna drag an instance of my new component. I'm gonna clone the frame with the static gradient tree and align my gradient tree component perfectly with the static one before deleting the static one. Then I'm gonna delete the static tree. Now, after selecting the frame with the gradient tree animation, I can test if my animation works. And it works. And since I want my gradient animation to start a little later, the zoom in animation, my gradient tree, I'm gonna drag a connection from the static gradient tree frame to the animated one and make the transition after delay. And as delay, I'm gonna enter 500 milliseconds. Let's test it. Yeah, it works perfectly. Let's test the whole animation. Hope you liked the tutorial. Be sure to check my other videos at the ending screen, and see you in the next one.